Good morning, everybody. It's just Graham here from Believe and Achieve Marketing and Life Success with another short video for you today. In today's video, I wanted to discuss the topics and the differences between the topics of selfishness and self-firstness. Now, growing up in poverty consciousness or a lack or limited mindset like I have and like I did, as my journey of transcendence was laid out before me, I identified very, very well with selfishness. And selfishness is really the tool that's keeping the majority of spiritual beings stuck. It's keeping the vast majority of people held currently in mass consciousness stuck. Because the infinite awareness of all that is and the infinite realization that we are only here to look after ourselves at the expense of all others is selfishness. And the law of attraction, or the law of karma, in fact, or just the universal law, states that in being selfish or putting oneself first with no regard, with no recognition, with no identification of others, is what we shall receive back. We're given a clear message to the universe that I am selfish, I am in lack, there is not enough for me, therefore I need it all for myself. This other person does not deserve, I deserve, I am worthy, I am more deserving than they are, which is narcissism. And in narcissism, we reap what we sow, don't we? We give out those traits, thinking that they're our reality, when in fact they're the illusion of mind, and we reap the rewards of such traits. Which is why we often see impoverished or people in poverty consciousness going one of two ways. One is total selfishness, which in fact is sending out the message to the universe that we're in lack, there is not enough. We must keep it all for ourselves. We mustn't think of others. And we receive that in return. But if we look at people in third world countries who have literally very, very little, they generally give, don't they? They generally give. And the beautiful thing I feel in seeing that, aside of the pain which I work with, that I feel for those people, is that they have so much to give, and they're demonstrating that in giving. It's not what they don't have to give, but it's what they do have an abundance of inside, that which they freely give. So they have very little on the outside, but they have so much on the inside, don't they? And what a beautiful analogy that is. The people who I've just spoke of, who have so little, have so much. And the people that don't know they have so much end up receiving even less through their acts of selfishness. Now those may be opinions, but they may also be sprinkled with elements of truth. Because in the self-firstness mentality, we harness all of the spiritual gifts that we've been blessed with from the universe. And we harness them all in some ways I'll share with you now. In understanding of spirit, that we can only authentically give that which we are, and we will only receive that which we are. It is our duty, and we are duty bound, to place ourselves first, not at the expense of others, but in order to do for ourselves authentically first, so that our beacon of light that we demonstrate and deliberate can shine and be revealed to others to do for themselves. In the beauty of that realization, we cannot do for others. Because in the attachment of us doing for others, or wanting to do for others, we're actually associating ourselves with the vibration that they find themselves in. In order for us to relieve them of their suffering, we must first experience that suffering, but without the knowledge of spirit, where we can feel the pain, yet not tune into the same vibration and frequency of that pain, thus having our own vibration affected. So the greatest gift we can give is that of self-firstness, to not do for another spirit, for somebody else, but to do for ourselves, to shine the light of our self-firstness upon those surrounded by selfishness, embodied in selfishness. It's one of the great liberators of this spiritual journey that I found difficult initially to understand, coming from poverty consciousness, coming from selfishness, coming from narcissistic traits and tendencies as part of my journey and my learning and growth. But the realization of self-firstness actually transcends us from our mind, from all the negative attachments to the feelings, to the energies that are actually keeping us stuck in our humanness and in our mind. And self-firstness embodies our spirit. It frees us from such suffering because it alleviates our pain. It alleviates our need to rescue other people. It alleviates our need to tune into the same frequency of pain and suffering and hurt and emotional deprivation and experience. So I feel that in coming to the end of this video, self-firstness is one of the great healers, and is something that we should always strive to achieve. We cannot fight with one another. If I am feeling bad and you are feeling bad, and I try to rescue you, ultimately I will be persecuted and blamed for such rescuance attempts. Do you see? Ultimately, if you try and rescue me from that scenario, then I would more than likely feel less in myself because of your action of trying to attempt to save me from a scenario which would reinforce in my mind at that time, that I was not good enough, that I needed help, that I wanted saving. And the automatic subconscious poverty consciousness reaction to that of rescuance is rebellion, is rebelling against those who try to save us. So there are two parties who become injured as opposed to the one. Just something to ponder when you see perhaps a homeless person in the street. Feel those feelings. Have compassion for that person's situation. But your number one priority on this spiritual journey is your vibration at all times. And in lowering that said vibration, to comfort perhaps, potentially, hypothetically, the homeless man. We're just creating two frequencies of like low vibrational density energy, which go round in the circle, create the triangle of persecution, and end up resulting in two losers. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. I've been Graham from Believe and Achieve. Thank you for your time. All the best.